just take a few brushes up and then a good flake down. And if you notice, those flakes are going, some of them are going all the way across. But each time you take an up pick, you essentially create a little concavity in there you can grab onto. I think it becomes apparent pretty quickly that abrading, even though it's completely unnecessary, doesn't really make any sense if you're using antler. On the other hand, if we're using copper, might suspect that we'd have to abrade, but in reality it's the same exact thing. Couple flakes up and a good one down. Same thing, couple flakes up and a good one down. I got those going pretty much identical to the antler. The only difference is the diameter of the tool tip, and copper is a little bit harder, obviously, but if you look at the flake scars, the only major difference is going to be from the diameter of the tip of the tool. Again, I just take a few up picks. That creates a little recess, what I call a recess platform. I can get it to show up right in there. You see that little concavity. We just basically use that concavity as a platform, just like when you're putting in a set of notches. So we create the concavity, isolate a little bit, and go for a longer flake. That's really all there is to it. And with this one single tool, I can easily, from start to finish, in the same amount of time or less, make a complete finished point. I could also use a piece of iron. This is a replica tool that I made based on Ishi's toolkit. Again, we have the same flake. I think now I'll work on this side. A few flakes up, one long one. Step over a little bit, take another up pick, take another one off. And it works just the same, just as good as antler, just as good as copper. Could even use a bone flaker like this one right here that I made. Cost me $1.50 for a deer leg bone. The only problem with this leg bone is it's really abrasive on the on your skin, so you might want to consider wearing a glove if you're going to use this. And of course, the organic tools pick up moisture, which this one did, and has been outside for a couple days, which makes it more difficult to use. What I usually do, that one overshot, so it shows that it's still working. What I normally do with my antler tools and my bone tools is I put them in the oven. The lowest my oven goes to is about 170 degrees, so I just leave it cracked open, put my tools in there for, a couple of hours or however long it takes and basically dry them out. Now the Indians had the same problems, only they had campfires going all the time, so it wouldn't be too hard to simply leave the tools sitting by the campfire. Now, the argument is whether or not the Indians abraded or not. Now, again, what got me started was ishi, and this is an ishi point. See if I can get the scar pattern to show up there. Very unique looking scar pattern, especially by today's standards. And if you notice on both sides, it's pretty hard to tell what side was worked first and what side was worked last. And the scar pattern is also quite random. On the other hand, this is a point that I made that I was going to finish leading up to my visit at the museum. And you can see the difference in the flake scar. Everything's uniform. You have big bulbs left over from the tool. You have a heavier platform left over, and it's apparent which side was worked first and which side was worked last. Here's a better example. If I can get it to show up. This side shows the remains of the beveling. This side shows the flakes, and more importantly, it shows how the deltas and the big bulb are still intact. And if you do this, you're going to have to clean it up in a series, just like it was taken off in a series, whereas the technique I just demonstrated a few minutes ago, everything is cleaned up as you go. And you can take flakes at will off of each side without leaving any remnants of the platforms, especially with ground platforms. I can guarantee you ishi did not abrade his platforms. There's absolutely no record of it in any of the literature. Nothing in the museum. He just didn't abrade his platforms. It's really that simple. And if you look at the archaeological record, you're going to see that most arrowheads, spear points, and things of that nature that were pressure flaked show no signs of abrading at all. And again, percussion flaking, if you can do the same thing with an antler that you would otherwise need an abrader for. Same thing with hammerstones. You don't need a lateral abrade. You can easily shear the edge and remove a flake that way. The purpose of this demonstration wasn't to show how good I am or what kind of pretty points I can make. The demonstration was pretty crude at best, just to give people an idea of what's possible and to simply look beyond what we've been taught and what we're doing today. And it's my personal opinion that if you look at the points that were made in prehistoric times and compare them to what we see being made today, they don't resemble one another. I'm not saying that what people are doing is wrong. All I'm saying is if you really want to replicate prehistoric point types, and there are hundreds of different ways to do it, maybe thousands of different ways to make points, you probably want to get rid of your abrading stones and switch over to some of these techniques. If you're just after flint knapping art or flake over grind or something like that, there's nothing wrong with that. You can continue doing what you're doing. The purpose of this demonstration was to explore the possibility that Native Americans in general did not abrade their platforms, particularly during the Archaic period, and more so on arrowheads and spear points and basic tools. So that concludes this demonstration. Again, nothing fancy, just a quick demo. I don't have a lot of time to sit back here and flint knap nowadays, so it was kind of just a quick and dirty demonstration of the techniques that I'm proposing. Thanks for watching.